Have you ever wondered what it would be like to visit a city that feels like it's from 10, maybe 15 years in the future? Well, today we're going to dive into a traveler's personal notes from two places that are pretty much exactly that: Singapore and Shanghai. We're going to explore what it's really like on the ground, from the giant futuristic infrastructure all the way down to the tiny little details of everyday life.
This one phrase from the observer's notes, it just says it all, doesn't it? It's the theme that keeps popping up again and again, tying the whole experience together. This isn't just about flashy buildings. It's about a fundamentally different and maybe better quality of city life.
So first up, let's talk about these impressions from the future. The single most overwhelming feeling that jumps out from these notes is that sense of stepping into a more advanced world. The sheer scale and quality of everything just feels like it's straight out of science fiction. Okay, to give you an idea of what we're talking about, just look at Shanghai's National Exhibition and Convention Center. This isn't just a big building, you guys. It's a statement. It's a structure so massive, it basically rewrites what you thought was possible for a building. So, how big are we talking? 16 million square feet. Now, to put that into perspective, because that number is just impossible to picture, that is 2.5 times the size of the Pentagon. Yeah, we're talking city-scale architecture here. And this feeling of a supercharged, well-funded society is just everywhere. You see it in Singapore with the constant new construction and roads so perfect you literally can't find a pothole. Then in Shanghai, it's the 20-kilometer manicured footpath along the river and the quiet hum of thousands upon thousands of electric scooters. Look, these aren't just nice perks. They're really clear signs of a society with huge resources and a serious long-term plan. So that's the big picture, right? But how does all this massive infrastructure actually affect your day-to-day? Well, that brings us to our next point: effortless movement. In these cities, getting from point A to point B is just unbelievably seamless. And this convenience, it runs deep. I mean, really deep. In Singapore, your hotel might be physically attached to the subway station. Immigration is slick and fast. In Shanghai, the entire transit network is top-notch. Your face and your passport can literally become your train ticket. And you'll have 5 bars of cell service everywhere, because why not? They just put cell towers every half mile. It's a world built to get rid of friction. So it's not just about having buses and trains. No. The system itself is exceptional. The Observer describes it as a total masterclass in how you move millions of people around quickly, cleanly, and comfortably. This number right here, it says everything. So our traveler misses a subway train in Shanghai. How long do you think they had to wait for the next one? 1 minute and 45 seconds. And get this, that's not some rush hour special. That's just normal. And the quality is in all these little details. The trains and buses, spotless and quiet. There are security checks, but they're incredibly fast. The slow, high-speed rail cruises at 200 kilometers per hour. Even the traffic lights are smarter, with countdown timers so you know exactly how long you're waiting. It's all just better. Okay, so getting around is a breeze, but it doesn't stop there. This feeling of seamlessness just weaves its way into every single part of daily life. The result is what the traveler calls a hyper-convenient life, where basically anything you want is just on demand. I mean, we're talking on-demand everything. In Singapore, the Grab app is your key to the city. In Shanghai, it feels even more futuristic. A $10 purchase can get you free delivery by scooter in 30 minutes. A robot might bring something up to your hotel room. You can even order fries from a McDonald's kiosk on the sidewalk and have them in your hand in 2 minutes. And the variety, especially with food, is just mind-blowing. In Singapore, you can find cuisine from all over Asia in just a few blocks. Even the local subway chain has duck sandwiches on the menu. Shanghai has something like 100,000 restaurants. And the 24-hour convenience stores, Family Mart, are described as being way better and cheaper than what you'd find in the West. Now, this one is really interesting. It gives us a fascinating peek into the local economy. For just 10% of a typical monthly salary, you can hire a cleaner, a so-called little auntie, to come to your home for 2 hours twice a week. It just shows you how accessible certain services are, and it hints at a very different balance in the cost of living and labor. All right, so the tech is amazing, the convenience is off the charts, but maybe the most profound stuff in these notes, it's about the social fabric itself. There's this overwhelming sense of order, of cleanliness, and maybe most importantly, of safety. I want you to really let this sink in.
This is a direct quote from the notes. It's not about seeing less crime. It's about the complete absence of the kind of sketchy, antisocial behavior that's become depressingly common in a lot of other big cities. And when you look at the observations side by side, this picture just gets clearer and clearer. No visible homelessness in either city. Crime is so low that the idea of leaving your wallet on a table for a couple hours is considered totally normal. People on the subway just seem well-dressed, civilized, carrying nice phones. It's just a different social fabric. And what's really key here is that this isn't some cold, sterile, robotic society. The notes say again and again that people were polite, friendly, and genuinely helpful. In Singapore, pretty much everyone speaks English, which makes it even easier. It's a society that has order, but it's an order matched with real civility. So when you start piecing all of these observations together, the tech, the convenience, the safety, the civility, you kind of have to step back and ask, what does all this mean? What are the big takeaways here? Well, you start to see this pattern, right? A sense of a higher standard pretty much everywhere you look. Singapore's healthcare is world-class. Flying on Cathay Pacific is described as being worlds better than its American competition. Even a visit to the Asian Cultural Museum feels better organized than any other the traveler had ever been to. Now look, a society doesn't just end up this orderly by accident. The notes mention the cameras everywhere in Shanghai. But here's the twist. Instead of just seeing it as a negative, the traveler shares a story where those exact same cameras helped the police find a lost relative in just a few hours. So it points to this massive and very effective system of social management. And the economy seems to work differently too. After COVID, when things slowed down, some restaurants didn't just shut down, they cut their prices in half. People who lost their jobs didn't just stay unemployed. Many were able to switch over to delivery work and still make a decent living. It all suggests a much more flexible, maybe more collectivist way of handling economic shocks. And that brings us right back to this one idea. Because honestly, it sums up the whole experience. It represents a level of social trust and public safety that, for many of us, is almost unimaginable. And that leads us to the final, really critical question. So these notes paint this incredible picture of city life that's convenient, efficient, and unbelievably safe. But they also hint at the systems that make it all work. And that leaves us all with one massive, thought-provoking question. What is the price for this level of perfect order? What's the trade-off for living in a society where you truly never have to look over your shoulder?